In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why resellers need to get rid of debt and stack assets as quick as possible. And it's ironic that I'm playing a Robert Kiyosaki game and telling you to ditch debt, but hear me out, it'll make sense in a second. And the reason why I'm on this game is because it can kind of help you understand and visualize the way that your life could be financially without actually having to go through an entire lifespan and actually go through it yourself. As Amazon sellers, we're super aware of the fact that Amazon can basically suspend you for whatever reason they want, whenever they want, and you basically sign your rights away when you agree to sell with them. Selling on Amazon can be great because all the customers are there, and therefore you can sell the items for the highest price possible in a lot of situations. But at the same time, your security with your money that you've invested into your store is a little bit less secure. So because of that, if selling is your main income and you don't have a job, I would highly suggest getting out of debt both personally and with your business as quick as possible, and then also putting your money into assets that can make you more money in the future. Recently, I heard a story of a guy who had been selling on Amazon for 6 years. He was paying himself a good amount of money, and then suddenly he got Section 3'd, and he had over $100K worth of inventory at Amazon FBA and $25,000 payout at Amazon that ended up getting locked. He wasn't able to get any of it back. And at the same time, he had a credit card balance that he wasn't able to pay off. It's been over a year and a half now, and he hasn't been able to get his account back. He still has that debt, and he digs holes for a living at this point. That's a terrible situation, and I don't want that to happen to any of you guys. Of course, he still has lots of options of how he can make his life better, and he could be self-employed or run a business again if he wants to. But at the same time, if you've been selling on Amazon for a long time, I highly recommend trying to get out of debt, especially if your inventory, as fast as possible. And so sometimes there are situations where using some debt in order to help you get ahead for a small amount of time actually does make sense. But you need to be really strategic about it and really careful with that and understanding your whole life situation. And you also need to actually make sure that you have the skills in order to not lose money if you put more money into this. For me, for example, I resold clothes and shoes on eBay for over a year, and then eventually I decided to try Amazon FBA books. I did that for close to a year, and then I spent some time learning retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, and then got into eBay to Amazon. So I've been selling for close to 3 years when I decided I found a good enough opportunity to go ahead and use some debt in order to make the opportunity the best that it could be. And at that point, when I scaled, I wanted to make sure that I was putting as much of those profits back into paying off my debt and staying at that higher level of selling on Amazon as possible. That way, if I were to get suspended, at least I don't have a $50K credit card debt over my head that I also have to deal with on top of trying to find another solution to make money. So I ended up staying in debt for around 9 months. I was selling anywhere between 50 and 100K a month in sales, and I eventually decided to spend a little bit less on inventory, buy higher ROI items, and do 30 to 40K for a couple months so that I could catch up, get completely out of debt, and build with cash from there. And then from there, you're at a much more stable place. You can actually know what you can pay yourself, and you can actually take money out of the business as you continue to make money and put it into assets that make even more money in the future, and actually create a situation where if Amazon were to go away tomorrow, you would at least have some income coming in. For example, there are investments that have a relatively known return on investment that you can put your money into that increase your level of financial freedom. For example, one of the simplest of these investments is investing in the S&P 500 through a stock like VOO with a brokerage like Vanguard. The S&P 500 has had an average return per year of 10 to 12%, and there's been an average inflation of minus 3% per year. And of course, these numbers are not on a consistent every single year basis. That's an average over the course of a lot of years. So if you take 10 minus 3, that's a 7% return that you can be getting if you put your money into an investment like that. So let's say you're selling on Amazon and you start to have a really good year and you make $100,000. Let's say you paid $25,000 of taxes. That leaves you with $75,000. If you were to keep your living expenses at a lower rate, you can do this easier or harder depending on what state and life situation you're in. Let's say you were to spend $40,000 a year. Maybe you have a spouse that works as well. That leaves you $75,000 minus $40,000, which is $35,000 to invest. That could give you a really good head start in either continuing to contribute to something like this or to just let the money compound. Here's an example if you were to just let the money compound without putting any other money in. Here's what could happen in 20 years, assuming you're 25 years old. You would have $135,000 without having put any other money in. And from there, passively, you would end up making close to $10,000 per year without having to do absolutely anything. Now, let's say you had 3 of these really good years in a row, and you were able to invest that gap, just like we had talked about before, for 3 years. And then for whatever reason, you made less money, but you were still able to put away $10,000 a year, which comes out to $833 a month. And then you were to wait 20 years at 7% interest. This would come out to $816,000, which comes out to nearly $60,000, which is very close to what the average household income both spouses make together for doing nothing. So spending some time thinking about what your money can do for you and what kind of situation you can create in your life financially and not living paycheck to paycheck when you're in a system like Amazon where it's their sandbox and they can do whatever they want is super important. You don't have to act like you can't win with money. If you can find a way to save some kind of money every single month and at least not be living paycheck to paycheck, things really start to compound quickly and your financial life is going to be better because of it. And then you'll more likely be able to focus on things besides just making Amazon work perfectly because you know that Amazon doesn't have to work perfectly. You can do other things. So hopefully this video was helpful. If I was able to help your business or financial situation out, please leave me a comment below and subscribe. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day and take care.